do you see the red heifers anywhere in Revelation? So you think on that for a second, but here I'm thinking, especially in Revelation 12, he's looking at the stars, right? And then it also tails out. So here's John. He's on an island. They got no lights. And so he's just sitting there laying on the ground staring up at the stars. And then God starts to point out, okay, now here we go with the Mazzaroth again, right? Oh, there's the dragon. Oh, there's this. And there's Virgo. The moon's over here. The sun's over there. The 12 stars. So he's starting to see all these things actually as they knew it was written in the Mazzaroth, and then writing down, okay, this is what God meant along those lines. So I think he was very much in tune with the Mazzaroth. So there's that. Go.
There's a lot of there's actually several articles that have been coming out lately about that whole idea of not astrology. It can be a bad thing, in the sense of the word, but the word itself simply just means the study of the stars. Astronomy means the law of the stars, like physics. And so if we take astrology in its real original meaning, which is just the study of the heavens, rather than horoscopes and other things, there's been several articles that have come out lately discussing the astrological significance found in the book of Revelation, because we see that. As it relates to the red heifer, I don't see any red heifers in the book of Revelation in that regard specifically. We do see it in the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 13, where the writer is saying that if you had ashes and you had red heifers, and that those ashes were able to sprinkle or able to cleanse external things, how much more the blood of Jesus will cleanse us for our conscience, our inner parts, eternally. And so the writer is very aware of the red heifer ashes. Again, it only appears in Numbers 19. So the fact that he brings it up is again another aspect of the fulfillment Jesus had of all of the Old Testament sacrifices and symbols. They were shadow. Over and over and over, you see that word shadow appear in the book of Hebrews, and they were all a shadow pointing to the person and work of Jesus for sure.
Neat. I like it. See, I'm thinking of maybe any kind of purification kind of stuff. I got to go through Revelation again. Been doing it for 45 years. I just found something else the other day. And he's like, he gave the key to the angel, not the angel, but the where was it? Anyway, it's like, wait a minute, I thought the angel had the key. No, he gave it to the other guy. It's like, oh,
exactly.
the thing that came out of the abyss. Where was that chapter? Let me see.
Chapter 9, probably.
Yeah, and the fifth angel sound. Oh, that's what it was, the star. So the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And in the Greek, that him refers back to the star. I'm like, wait a minute. It's that the angel sounded, but the star got the key to the bottomless pit. And what does that mean? Does that mean, like, was it the star Satan that fell? So the star fell, and so Satan was given the key to the bottomless pit to let all his cohorts out?
That's a great question, because we know that, even there's a strong history. It goes on, talks about the king, right? Abaddon, Apollyon is released, and there's a lot of connection of that figure with Shemiyaza, which was one of the figures in the Genesis 6 narrative, according at least to the tradition of the book of Enoch, first Enoch anyway. So it's pretty fascinating that that guy that was put down there is now gets to be released out with all of the cohorts.
Yeah, gee whiz. Now, in Jubilees, what is it, 10, he's like,
10.
we're going to lock up all your Nephilim buddies. And he's like, can I just keep 10% of them out? All right. It's like, what do you mean, all right?
Exactly. Why'd you have to say yes?
Wait. So the demons that are out now, my friends, are lightweights, and you do not want to be here during the tribulation when he lets the other 90% out, which are the heavyweights. So, yeah, that's going to be an issue. I've had a couple things that may refer to red heifers in the book of Revelation. And that would be 21:7. It says, nothing unclean will enter the New Jerusalem. So I wonder if the red heifer's purification ritual is like a foreshadowing of that. And it's symbolizing blood and must be found and sacrificed to purify the temple. So just the fact that the temple is up and running, I think by necessity they would have to have found this wonderful heifer, no?
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt it's going to happen. Because well, the only way that I'll say it this way: the hypothetically, the temple could be built, let's say tomorrow, if they had the right geopolitical permission. If they build it and it's there, it is. They cannot use it until they have the red heifer ashes. So the only other way that it would be possible would be for if they discovered in an archaeological context the previous ashes of the red heifer from the first
Oh,
century. And so that has always been the desire, is the Jewish people felt that uh, we are going to one day find the Ark of the Covenant. We will find the ashes of the red heifer. We'll find that in a certain, again, archaeological context or whatever. Maybe it's under the Temple Mount, etc. So they were hoping that was the case. And I forgot the guy's name now, but there was some speculation probably 15, 20 years ago that they were discovering the ashes of the red heifer. Uh,
okay.
it
Is
changed
that Grant
nothing.
Jeffrey?
No, it wasn't Grand Jeffrey. If you said the name, I would know it. I put it in the book, but uh, what they did was the rabbis felt that they couldn't wait for that possibility to happen because it might not ever happen. So they decided to take the matters in their own hands and then begin to try to create a new breed
Hmm.
of red heifer, or in existence, so that they could do it again. So the other thing that you'll hear a rumor is that there needs to be a continuity between the old ashes and the new ashes, and that's not true. So I hear it all the time, but there's no specific evidence for that. So these new red heifers, all you need is one. All you need is one, is sufficient in order to accomplish the goal.
Hmm. That's interesting because yeah, the thought would be, like sourdough bread. You got to get the one that
Mm-hmm.
started in the 1800s and it's the same batch. So maybe that thought was in there somewhere and they got to mix it together to continue it. That'd be interesting. Now, do you think this has any connection to Taurus, the red heifers and the
Taurus the
constellation of
bull.
Taurus? Yeah.
That's a good question. I think that there could be a very loose connection in that this isn't the red heifer's not a bull, right? It's a heifer, and so, but nevertheless, it is a bovine.
Hmm.
So we have that connection. And why God chose and said bring a red female, we can ask him on that day, but
Hmm.
nevertheless, it is contrary to bringing a bullock, or a bull, or whatever. And
Okay.
so I wonder about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a giant book of questions when I get to heaven. You know, it's like, well, the first one is, well, what kind of fruits on the tree of life?
Yeah.
There's 12 different ones. And do they all bloom at the same time? Like you grafted them all in, or is it one per month because it blooms once a month? These are questions I need to know.
Yep.
So, what about when they say the purity, like Virgo the Virgin, and we see possibly Mary in Revelation? You think that would have any kind of thing? Because it's got to be pure. So, how did they get pure? Or is that all accomplished because he fulfilled the law and the prophets through Messiah?
Yeah. I think that the the scripture's clear again in several passages. Colossians 2 is a great passage where 16 and 17 discussing, he says, let nobody judge you in food or drink, or relates to a Sabbath or a new moon. For all these are shadow, but Jesus is the substance. And so you have that shadow language reappearing in Hebrews, 7, 8, and 9, discussing all of the requirements and statutes that you find in the Old Testament. And so, again, when you put Jesus right in the center of all of that, he is the substance. And so, whatever we might have under the Old Testament, the work of Jesus fulfills all those things. And again, that's the whole point of Hebrews, to say that we have chapter 7, 12, 18, all of these speak about that there's a change of the law, that the old covenant law is no longer, there's been a change. It's transferred over to the new law, and the old law has been abrogated. It's been rendered inoperative. It's been annulled, depending on the English translation.
Yeah, it's a contract that has been fulfilled to tell
fulfilled.
us. Yeah.
Yep. There's nothing left. It's like Micah 5:2 as relates to the birth of Jesus being born in Bethlehem. Well, what's left of that prophecy? We don't expect anything. It's been fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. It's come to its completion. And so we see that with the old covenant commandments and statutes, they were fulfilled in Jesus. And as you said, when Luke 16:16, Jesus said the law and the prophets prophesied until John.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, when Jesus came, he fulfilled it all. And so I don't anticipate anything more. But nevertheless, we do know during the millennial period that there will be sacrifices, not again for the sake of forgiveness.
Yeah, retrospect, right?
Retrospect, exactly. They'll be looking. People say, "Oh, well, why would they do that? Don't you know that there's not going to be forgiveness?" Well, the fact of the matter is, those sacrifices during the millennial period are going to be just as effective as the ones in the old covenant, which means the ones in the old covenant, they were pointing to Jesus. The ones in the millennium are pointing to Jesus, and so Jesus has always been the foundation of forgiveness in the most real way.
Yeah.
But I think going back to Revelation 12, the woman, I think that the woman there is quite clearly the nation Israel, based on the imagery of Genesis 37 and the dream that Joseph had. And it brings up all. You have 11 stars in the dream. You have a sun and the moon. And it's clear that that's a reference to Jacob, his wife, and his 12 sons, Joseph being one of them. And so when that appears in Revelation 12, it's like, ding, ding, ding. Hey, that's referring to...
That's what he saw, too.
Yeah, that's exactly what he saw. And certainly we know the Messiah, the child, in Revelation 12 came from Israel and was ascended into heaven, who will rule all the nations. So it's a pretty fascinating chapter, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to find that in there, too. Maybe you can help me find this verse, too. It goes like, never judge a man until you walk a mile in his shoes. This way, you'll be a mile away, and you'll have his shoes.
Hezekiah, is that Hezekiah 3:18?
Yes, the book of Hezekiah. Okay, done.
I think that's what it was, Hezekiah 3:18.
Yeah, that's it.